Hey y'all, what is going on? What is going on? It's your girl, Melba Pearson, Melba for Miami, Melba for Justice, also known as the resident legal diva. And it is time for another Mondays with Melba. So, as you know, we're all civic minded here on the show, and elections are coming very soon. August, we have some very critical primaries happening in Miami-Dade County, and I'm super excited to bring on one of the candidates for Miami-Dade Sheriff, John Barrow. John, welcome to Mondays with Melba. Thank you so much for joining me.
And Melba, thank you so much for having me. I'm great to be here.
Awesome, awesome. So you are running for Miami-Dade Sheriff, which is the first time in, something like 50 years that we're actually going to have a sheriff as an elected position. Can you share a little bit about yourself and your background and why you're running for sheriff?
Of course, and 60 years, is a long time. The last time we had a sheriff was during Jim Crow. So, here we are again. And the 2018, the voters of the state of Florida voted that every county must have an elected sheriff. And Miami-Dade was the only one that had an appointed. So they gave us till 2024 to try to figure everything out. And so now it's time. This is the year that we're voting on a bunch of consequential offices here in Miami-Dade County for the first time. My name, like you said, is John Barrow. And I was born and raised here in Miami, grew up in Miami Gardens, what was then called Carroll City, now Miami Gardens. So, I'm a lifelong resident and also from a community that was a tight-knit, close community, but unfortunately had to struggle with crime in our community, and we didn't want it. And when we called the police, it was then Metro-Dade and now the Miami-Dade Police that responded to our calls for help, and my calls in particularly as a young adult, as a kid growing up. And the feeling I got when they responded, like that whatever's the worst thing in your life, that there's some hope that your problems are going to be taken care of, that stayed with me. I went off to college, graduated, and came back to Miami and joined the Miami-Dade Police Department, where I've been serving for the past 18 years. And I've had the privilege to serve this entire community of the entire Miami-Dade County from north to south and everything in between. I have experience in community policing, administration, investigations, operations, been there through hurricanes, through violence, created plans to reduce violence, and have what it takes to be the first sheriff in over 60 years in Miami-Dade County.
So amazing, John. So one thing that I'm taking away from your comments is that you've held just about every position in the Miami-Dade Police Department. I think that's something that sets you apart from some of the other candidates, or all of the other candidates that are running, if I'm not mistaken?
Yep, it's a partisan race. So in my primary, I believe that sets me apart from every other candidate who's running in the primary, because I have command experience in policing in Miami-Dade in every field of policing. I mean, starting from the road and the boots on the ground from a rookie, actually working and being dispatched to calls and dispatched to people in distress, from Kendall to South District and Naranja and West Perrine, all the way up through Intracoastal and the North End. So yeah, after starting as a rookie, I joined my first specialized unit, which was community policing, which is very important. I think is the way to solve problems of working with the community that is there in their neighborhoods, listening to their concerns, listening to their complaints, trying to come up with plans with them to solve the problems in their neighborhoods. And that, I think, taught me the most about this actual policing here in Miami-Dade County. After that, I was promoted to sergeant and was assigned to North Side. So Northside is the smallest district, smallest by square area, but it has real problems to solve. And I was able to first be a road sergeant, leading a squad of officers to basically handle calls and handle crime and solve the problems in that community. And from there, I went on to back into community policing, to our what is now called Community Affairs Bureau. I also became an administrative sergeant, where I was handling budgets and monies and special assignments, all of the administrative duties of a police department, of a district, of a of a of a bureau. Where that's where I got my first experience in writing budget requests to power the operations of our bureau. And then I became a media relations sergeant, where I was able to work with our local media, created our social media strategy, which is now taken off. Obviously, back in 2011, 12, social media wasn't what it was now, especially Miami-Dade Police Department social media. We got that off the ground, but also a way to communicate directly to the people, another form of communication. Instead of having to rely on media networks, we can directly communicate. So, and then I was promoted to lieutenant, had the ability to go to the Northeast Miami-Dade County, what's called Intracoastal District, which is North Miami, Miami Shores, all these, a lot of cities, municipalities, but there's some unincorporated areas in there, Alita River State Park, and was a lieutenant directing a platoon of sergeants and officers and civilians to, meet their goals and objectives in meeting the crime and safety needs of the residents of Intracoastal District. I had the ability to become a field training coordinator, where I was responsible for every rookie who came out of the academy and was assigned to Intracoastal. And then I had administrative lieutenant as well. So now I was dealing again with the budgets of the entire district, and became an investigative lieutenant, the commander of the General Investigations Unit of Northwest Miami-Dade County. So all of the things that weren't handled by headquarters, so except robbery and murder and some major crimes, any other crime that occurred in Northwest Miami-Dade County, I was the commander to make sure those crimes were solved. So shootings where someone survived, burglaries, vehicle burglaries, stolen vehicles, all these crimes that affect the people of Miami-Dade. I had the ability to solve those crimes and lead a great team of detectives and sergeants and analysts to create plans to make our county safer. And with the departmental discipline coordinator in our headquarters, in our human resources department for a stint. I got promoted to captain, which is now command staff, and was acting major of Northwest. Got promoted to major in 2020. It was the major of Hammocks District, which is the most populous district in Miami-Dade County. Then became the major of Northside District, back where I was a sergeant. And Hammocks is where I was a rookie, so it was like a bookends. Going back as the major now to lead an entire area, and now I manage the entire departmental human resource process, dealing with our employees, their benefits, every employee union. So I believe I have the experience, not just the experience and the background and the knowledge and the depth to get the job done from a holistic view and for the day-to-day as well.
I mean, this is fascinating to me because literally, as you're naming off all the different assignments you've literally worked in every corner of this county, from deep down south in Hammocks and Kendall area, all of that, all the way to North Side, which is basically, the west side of Liberty City, kind of around that area, all the way up to Miami Lakes area, Northeast, talking about Aventura, all that area, North Miami Beach kind of area that's not, of course, covered by a municipal department or anything like that. So you really know this county inside and out. And also wanted to note how you've done HR, you've done the street, you've done administrative and budgets. So all of those things a sheriff needs to really understand to be able to have a holistic view of the people, how they operate, what their needs are, what the pain points are, rather than coming in from out of town or another county trying to figure it out on the fly, especially not having been a police officer.
Yes. Absolutely. You're absolutely correct. And even for a stint, I was over our agricultural patrol, which people don't even realize they're agricultural fields west of Chrome, growing produce and things that we consume here in Miami-Dade County. And that's a whole other field, a whole other type of policing that people aren't even aware of. And I've done that as well. It's there's going to be no learning curve because I've done every aspect, like you said, administration, investigation too, which are very important for the people out there who are victims of crime. We need to bring justice to all of the victims of crime in our county. And community service, I believe, is also a big thing. Community policing. I want to amplify to the entire county what I've been doing through my whole career, working with individual communities, because every level I've gone up, I've understood that, having worked all these areas of Miami-Dade, every community has unique needs, unique problems, and you need to work with the residents of that community to find the solutions. You don't just want to come in and this is how we're going to do it. No, you have to talk. And I would, 1 month we're going to hit this neighborhood, 1 month we're going to hit that neighborhood, on the streets, walking, boots on the ground, with my staff, with our team. How are we doing? How are you doing? How can, what are your problems? How can we make them better? This is absolutely vital. And as a sheriff, I intend to be a sheriff that's among the people, that's the same, working with people. It's not just something I say, it's something proven by my background. Like, past action is going to predict future action. And I've done it, through my career, through these 18 years of serving this great community where I was born. And that's why I'm still here, because I want to ensure, you have to water the grass where you are. It's not always green on the other side. You have to make sure and water your community and build a community.
That part. And I also love the fact that you did training, and that one of your big things is getting out of the car and walking around the community, not just, posting up like, okay, maybe if something happens in front of me, I'll do something. You're proactively talking to people, because that's the way to be able to get intel, right? Like, to hear what's going on, right?
Absolutely. It's my biggest thing is getting out of the vehicles, and because yes, we get dispatched to calls. Someone calls 911 or 305 for police non-emergency, and then we go to the incident location and we handle it. But that's like to me, it's like a two-dimensional process. Like, you go there and you leave. But so part of my platform is reorganizing the structure of our current department, which will then soon become the sheriff's office, and ensuring that we have the most people in our road districts. That way we can lower the response time when you call us and need help. You don't have to wait as long, but it also increases the safety of the officers, because there are more officers in the neighborhood. But it also gives officers time in their shifts, downtime, where they can then, get out and meet the residents, the businesses that are in their community that they patrol day to day. I've been many places, and I've seen sometimes your shift starts at 2 p.m., let's say, for example, and you're going call to call to call to call to 10 p.m. There's no time to engage, because the calls are holding, calls are backed up, and that's because I believe we're not focused on what the mission should be. The mission should be the base of every police agency. The foundation should be our road districts, our uniform patrol, those officers out there on the streets, and we need to increase those officers on the streets. That way we can have more time to then work with the community together collaboratively to find the solutions that we need.
Absolutely. So can you share with us the top 3 things, or your top 3 priorities for when you're elected sheriff of Miami-Dade County?
Absolutely. So the top priority, I think that's the priority of every law enforcement agency, but my top priority is going to be safety. We have to ensure the safety of everyone who lives in Miami-Dade County, unincorporated and incorporated, because there are 34 municipalities, but the sheriff's office has jurisdiction throughout, and I will be there to assist any other police agency that needs help. I've done it before. There's nothing I will do. There's something I have done. Worked with Miami Gardens PD, worked with the city of Miami PD to solve those crimes. Criminals don't know boundaries. They don't know, oh, now this is incorporated, this is unincorporated. We have to work together, the 34 municipalities and the sheriff's office, to ensure a safe community. My second top priority is to challenge the status quo here in Miami-Dade County and in Tallahassee, to bring new and innovative solutions to our communities. We've been doing the same thing for the past 20, 30 years and getting the same results. And I believe the community voted for an independent sheriff's office to get new and better results. And I am able to bring those solutions, which I can get in because there are so many, and there's so many things in that second bullet that I can delineate. But just to cover the top three, my third priority will be to make the sheriff's office, the new Miami-Dade Sheriff's Office, a community-rooted agency with civilian input and civilian oversight, because that's also very important. We need to work hand in hand with the community. We need to have civilians who live in Miami-Dade County working with the sheriff's office, working with me as the sheriff to create those policing strategies, those policing solutions that we need to come up with so they can have an input, they can advise myself as sheriff, and and have a voice in the way they want their communities policed.
And I really have to highlight that last piece because folks may not remember or realize that the governor signed into law basically a new law that strips civilian oversight panels of their power, as well as ethic watchdog different bodies of their power as well. So it's going to be critical moving forward that there's a sheriff who embraces community input and will proactively seek it, since they will not be a civilian oversight process, barring a lawsuit or some, major change over the course of the next year. So that's something folks really have to think about. Is this sheriff going to really work with the community, or are they going to be like, listen, it's business as usual. Y'all don't need to be worried about anything here. So that's going to be huge.
And we've heard that. We've heard that from some other candidates that, a talking point that I've heard a lot is that, well, civilian review costs a lot of money, and so they're looking at, so we can save that money. And no, the foundation of policing, the foundation of my policing, the way I've come to policing is trust and transparency. That has to be above all. And without the community's trust, every community in Miami-Dade County, without the trust of the community, we cannot do our jobs. We will not be effective. We've seen that around the country, around the state, where communities don't have trust in their police, and then they don't want to work with those folks because they don't believe that the agency is going to uphold their trust. And in that law, Tallahassee's taking preemption to the next level, preempting everything. And I believe local communities know what's best. Just like I said, all the different communities that make up Miami-Dade, they know what's going on in their community, and just like the counties know what's best for them. And they've listened to their residents and tried to create laws or ordinances that help them. But preempt even heat. You get, sweat and heat was preempted in Tallahassee. But I think the local community knows best. But a part of that law that was signed by our governor includes that a sheriff can have civilian oversight. It delineates that if a sheriff's office wants to do it, they can. And I promise, Sheriff, I will have that, because you must have civilians. Saying civilians, it sounds so, sterile. People, residents, human beings that live and work in Miami-Dade. You have to have them as a part of the process, of finding solutions. And so on that third bullet, I intend first 100 days to have a citizens advisory board that will advise me as a sheriff, which will listen to policies that we're trying to create, strategies that we're trying to bring in, give their input. And this advisory board will be made up of citizens from every commission district in the county, so that we can have the beauty of the diversity of Miami represented on that panel to advise me. And what they vote will have the same weight as what our professional standards committees or other committees have, and so that you could take everything into consideration and include the community to build that trust and transparency. They'll be there, and then they can advocate to their communities. No, I was a part of the process. We've seen everything, and that it also including technology for transparency, putting things online, but that the whole world can see, not to have trust us, because we know best. That is not the best
at all. Okay, so John, if people want to learn more about you, if they want to support, whether it be by knocking doors, getting a yard sign, donating, because again, campaigns aren't free, y'all. And if you want to see people that reflect your values, our values, we've got to donate, whether it's $25, whether it's $250, whether it's $1,000, whatever little bit helps. So John, please let everybody know how they can find you.
You can find me at barrowforsheriff.com. That's BARROWFORSHERIFF.com.
And for letting folks know, the link is going to be in the comments or in the body of the description of the show. And for what it's worth, I will tell everyone this right now. This is the kind of early days, but I fully and wholeheartedly endorse John Barrow for sheriff. I think that he is the best candidate. He has the most experience, and I think that his values are very reflective of best practices in policing, as well as combining the experiences and the concerns of marginalized communities across this country, but definitely in Miami-Dade County. So I really encourage everyone to learn more about John, reach out. If you want more information, definitely hit him up. He's very accessible. And again, I give him my highest endorsement for this go round. So hopefully y'all will feel the same way I do about him and spread the word. So with that, John, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for your service. And thank you for agreeing to say yes and run for office, which we all know is a huge undertaking.
Thank you so much again for having. Thank you for your support as well. And this is a very consequential race for our community. The sheriff is going to be very important in our policing, and we have to ensure we are electing the right person to this job. Thank you so much.
Amen to that. Y'all take good care, and I will see you next week. Bye.